Hello, gorgeous souls. I'm Michelle Rosetta, and this is Stories Not to Take to the Grave, a podcast inspired by the rich sharing of traditional wisdom and know-how with storytelling. I believe the remedy our communities deeply require for health and well-being is rooted in our own authentic and unedited tales. Some of what we fear to speak or that which is seemingly mundane to us is exactly what those around us may need to hear in the way we speak our truth. I am a mother of 4, an entrepreneur, and a clinical herbalist. Plant medicine being one of the modalities I work with to assist my community. I have the tendency to make questionable choices, jump off things I shouldn't, along with the uncanny ability to turn it around to land on my feet. It is not only in victory that deep healing lies, but also in our mishaps and trials. Independently and with guests, we will cover topics to support our sovereign journeys to our best versions of wellness. I am not a doctor, and clinical herbalists are not licensed in Canada. Anything discussed pertaining to plants, protocols, and health in general are for educational purposes only. Every body is different. What works for one may not be the answer for another. It is your responsibility and duty to decide whether a course of action recommended to you, no matter it be by your family doctor or natural practitioner, is right for you. During this podcast, we will grow our personal discernment abilities and learn to take off the layers covering the self that lies within, so we may listen in a more profound way. So, let's roll up our proverbial sleeves, start digging, and get down and dirty with everything that makes us already fabulous and on our way up. And, of course, please subscribe, share, and leave a review if you enjoy this content. Let's get digging. In this episode, I'm joined by my plant ally, Urtica, dioica, or Stinging Nettle, along with Megan Khuu, the founder of the Happy Healing Heart. This recording caught the fire and thinning veils of the end of October. It also was almost lost and required some salvaging, hence the late uploading. Nonetheless, I'm a big proponent of the better late than never approach to life. I touched on subjects that I now question whether I should have spoken on. Megan delivers a raw account of the moment she realized her 6-figure career was killing her and the experience of facing shame along with the eventual embodiment of her chosen entrepreneurial journey. Megan discloses how she utilizes her ethereal, caring, and cruel phantom aunties to guide and motivate her. We also discuss not only the opportunity to fill your deeper life purpose, but the power and rich experience found in following a less traveled role in your community. Megan weighs in on the 8 pillars of wealth that may not be what you think. I am so happy to be sitting here with Megan Khuu, founder of the Happy Healing Heart. She is a spiritual coach, an energy healer who combines intuitive guidance, Reiki, and crystals to help empower people to release old stories, rediscover their worth, and realign with their true energy and purpose. Hi, Megan. So how are you? And I want an honest answer because I'm going to be so honest this morning.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I remember I was reflecting earlier on how we met each other, and you're like one of the first people in the markets to be super nice to me.
Really?
So I'm really grateful.
I don't remember that.
I mean, like, I don't remember the distinct moment, but I just remember you were just like the loveliest human, and I felt like so welcomed by you. So just so you know,
Really?
that's how we began.
I didn't even think of that. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a great way to start this off because literally I had a baby on October, not now, about, 25 years ago. I had a baby on Halloween. So this time of year for me is always quite jam-packed. So my baby who has a baby is in and the house is full.
Your baby has a baby?
My baby has a baby. So my house is full. And I was even thinking, because it was a very full weekend. And last night I definitely did not get my beauty rest. So I was thinking, I was going down that path, which actually we're probably going to be talking about, thinking maybe I can read book. Maybe I
What's your
should, like talk to Megan.
Mm.
And then I thought about it and I really sat with it, and staying on theme, I realized that some of our best work is done when we are raw and worn and not our most composed self. And if I had decided to go off of that theme when that is our theme today, it would have been incredibly unauthentic and disingenuous. So I will allow you to carry me along in this episode. But yeah, let me know a little bit where you're at right now.
Well, first of all, I need to tell you that your natural beauty products are obviously working, because I can't believe your baby has a baby. You look phenomenal. That's actually insane. Oh, can't swear.
Wait, it's okay. You can, if you feel divine.
It's okay, we can
if
do
you
that.
feel like you should swear and it's compelled to swear, please do. Thank you so much for the initial props on my B23 Hottie Bomb.
Sincerely,
Super sweet
I don't
way
lie.
to start the episode.
Yeah. No, I was going to tell you, so funny about the mental gymnastics I did this morning, because I had the same thought that you had last night, where I was like, you know what? Maybe my message isn't clear enough yet. Maybe I need to like lose some weight, just get a little skinnier before I appear on camera. Oh my God. And then this morning I spent 2 hours rearranging and setting up and testing. I worked out before because I was like, let me make sure I'm skinny for this.
No.
Like 5 minutes of it. And but we do this, right? And
it makes you want to cry a little bit.
Oh, here, let me show you. I was ice rolling.
This is awesome. This is awesome.
It's like, I was like, oh my God. But then at the end of it all, I said the same thing, where I started to focus on, I'm like, what am I really excited about? I've been wanting to do this forever. I've wanted to get on a podcast, talk about my message. And then the questions that you're asking me to kind of reflect on earlier, as I started to write everything out, I'm like, oh, like, maybe I do have something that I can offer. Maybe there is some experience here. And even though we're not like polished in the way that's exactly how we want to be, maybe it's still worthwhile. And I love that you also had the same of like, fuck it, let's go. Let's just do it. And I think that's the energy right now, where all of us are like,
That's a good No, that would be a Canadian, probably Northwestern Ontario. I don't know. No, they do that down here too. It's like, if something's a bad bridge, you probably shouldn't go over it. And it's like a motorized vehicle. You just you say, send it.
I swear we said that when I was younger and cooler. People used to say it, but it was.
So we're just sending it. We're launching.
You're cool. We're sending it. Yeah.
That is very much aligned with the theme of what we had discussed prior, is that when we're starting where we're at, it is not the polished, finished, perfected form. And also we recognized, just to bring our community up with where we ended in our last conversation when we were deciding what we wanted to talk about, that if we really are at the precipice of this new narrative as to how do we as humans show up in our greatest faculties, our greatest version of faculties at this point, and work within this human experience. And that's, if we're really there, we're in work clothes. We're probably a little haggard. We're not showing up in our finished form. We are just starting to dig the path. So when we look at it that way, I think that it allows us to have more kindness for ourselves, more forgiveness, but also allows us to take more chances, to not be concerned about necessarily what someone's going to think. And the other thing we discussed was that it doesn't matter how many people are in the arena with you. All that matters, because we are connected to that master meta-narrative, simply by us voicing and claiming ours, it changes the web around us. And that's where we had ended off on our conversation. But the reason I wanted you to come on was to talk about your story, but I just forgot. We have two other guests that I forgot I have to introduce. So, yes, we have two other guests with us, and that is our plant allies. So I'm just going to do a quick little rendition because I want to get into your story, but I need to introduce the other two bodies with us. And one in the infusion, which I have to remember not to drink too close to this because I don't edit. So this is a free form all the way to the end. So drink away from the mic. But one is Centella asiatica. So that is Gutta Cola. And Gutta Cola is amazing for your brain and boosting energy. But more importantly, in this little concoction is nettle. So stinging nettle or Urtica dioica. And the reason this herbal plant ally was so important is because in mythology and in history, nettle was used for courage and protection. And the other very interesting thing is I introduce a lot of herbs as she or my grandma or whatnot. But what I found interesting with this herb and why potentially it's such a strong foundation when we're moving through challenging situations is because Urtica dioica originates from first a Greek word urine, which means to burn. But dioica is di for two and oikos for house. So it is the two house burning plant. How fiery is
Love
that?
That energy.
And it's just, it seems delicate, but we know when I mention nettle to my customers or to my clients, generally there's a little bit of a, oh, not nettle. Meanwhile, it's a plant, but is infamously known how to maintain boundaries, how to make sure you show up grounded, but in that fierceness. And potentially we are not, our bodies may be delicate, but the spirit is like fire. So that's nettle. And also when we're talking about our entrepreneurial journeys or in general, what we want to express through our human designs, nettle is incredibly nourishing. It has like all of our vitamins. It has A, B, C, K. It has boron, which we need for our bones, amazing for skincare, iron, like jam-packed. And the other important thing is that they also, male and female, the male and female, it's how they reproduce, right? So this plant reproduces. It has separate plant bodies, but it reproduces together. I just think that's so cool. So they kind of have to be together to reproduce. Isn't that cool? It's just very cool, but very good for liver and any diabetic issues, but also for our brain and detoxification. So when we're purifying the body, this, it helps us do our work better. So that is why I wanted to bring Nettle on, our brave warrior, to accompany us on this lifting of the veils to the mystery.
Damn, I wish you would have told me that ahead of time. I would have brewed some nettle too. Then we could have nettled together.
So that is one of the things, if we're going into a challenging day or if we feel that we need protection, burning nettle in our spaces is very contributory to that protection. But also, I was reading on this other practitioner site. I'm not going to take credit for it, but they were saying that when they sip their nettle tea, that they ask for protection and courage for the day, and that's creating that energy around you.
I love that.
So those are our two plant allies with us. We'll see where they take us today. But I would love to delve now into your story, which I so loved, and that's why I wanted to have you on.
Thank you. I hope I want to get through it without crying.
Well,
We're gonna do our best.
let's start with
Whenever
your
I think of it,
family
I'm like,
story,
okay.
because then we can go from there and get into history and all
Okay.
those. Let's do the
Yeah.
family story first, because that'll get us
Okay.
moving forward. And it's
Yeah. Like,
and
just
then
ease,
all
a
of
nice
our kind
ease
of
in.
what will come out of that narrative will be the focal points that we would like to touch on for today.
Okay. So the story I was telling Michelle before was about how after, this is my 4th year in business, and I just had this like aha moment the other weekend where I finally gave myself permission to be proud of my business, which is insane because it's been so many years. And it actually was triggered by my mom asking me to pay for a lunch. And me and a bunch of my aunties and cousins and sister-in-law, we all go out for, we call it ladies' lunch every couple of months. And everyone takes a turn to pay. And I forgot, like, I'm not a niece anymore. I'm now like a full-grown adult. So my mom, it's not that, no one has money. It's just, it's almost like a pride honor thing in the Asian thing. You got to have good face. And so she had been like, it's your turn to pay. You're an adult. You need to pay now. And the first thing that was triggered in my mind was, holy shit, like, I can't afford this. And it's not big. It's like $200-$300, and that's not a lot of money, but it's not a little money either. And that was my first thought. And I instantly went into this shame spiral where I'm like, look at what a failure you are. You can't even buy your family like lunch. How embarrassing for you. But then it created this amazing catalyst for like really, really deep reflection, because I'm like, wait a minute, like back when I was in medical sales, but when I was making 6 figures, that's how I quantified my success. It was, I can spoil all my loved ones the way I want. I can buy them whatever they want. How great of me, I'm so successful because I have all this money that I can use. But then I started to reflect more on like, but what is the business? Like, am I just not allowed to be proud of it at all because I'm not at the financial status that I used to be at? And then I kept spiraling. And I realized, 5 years ago, I quit my corporate job so that I could create a business that aligned with my values, where I could help people in the way that I wanted, that felt good, that I could create a safe space where people would feel seen and heard, where they could alchemize. When I shared my experience, they would feel safe to share theirs. And then begin to change in those ways. And then it was so funny because this was happening as I was venting. And I was sitting at this table just having all these realizations, and I started to like cry my eyes out. And I was like, this,
because you were at the market.
And right then, like a couple members.
I had those moments.
I was at the market.
Oh my gosh. But please keep going. I really am there with you. I get it. So you're sitting at the market. You're going through this in your head. You start bawling at your table.
So bright, because I'm just like, I am so proud of who I've become, and I fought so hard to be her, and I've created, and I was like, I wanted to create a community, and they're here. And really right at that moment, Spirit's hilarious, 2 of community members came, and then we shared in this moment together, and they were rooting for me. And I find what is even more hilarious about this whole experience is I was at a different market the day before, and I had seen two old acquaintances from high school, and I literally ducked. I ducked and I hid from them because I was like, I don't want them to see me at my dinky little table business. Like, don't look at me. And I hid from them. And this is why the universe is hilarious, because the next day when I was having this revelation at this market where I'm like, I'm so proud of myself, I'm so proud of what I've created, the universe sent this same couple to this different market, completely different side of the city. And I had a second chance to be like, you know what? I'm not hiding. I'm going to stand beside my dinky table and show them what I created. And it was amazing. It was such an amazing experience.
That is like, it is a beautiful story, and there's so many different topics you hit on. But I want to speak about the whole idea of what we consider dinky or not worthy of personal acknowledgement. And I've experienced that a lot. I've been in business since 2007. I raised 4 kids off my business, but I still have people that walk past me, and because we're in the market, they look at you like, oh, I'm so sorry you're schlepping that table. But then at this point, I also realized, well, you know what? I just made your wages in 2 days, and I get to go do whatever the flip I want for the next 5. And if that means creating a podcast, that means writing something, if that means not getting up at 9 a.m. and, going for a walk and then doing my work because I want to work at night, guess what? I get to do that. So I think it's a change of perspectives that I could not imagine going back to. And for some people, maybe that works. But for me, to go to an office or to go to somebody else, to give them my life energy, to be able to, ride off of my life energy. And then I'm giving that all day to somebody else to go home tired and exhausted. Yeah, for someone else's goals, tired and exhausted and not able to work on self, because that's what that system is. You're just grinding. You're not even thinking about, why am I here? What was the purpose? What was I supposed to contribute to this human experience? You're too tired. So that's when we're talking about doing the work and the sacrifices and the discomfort that may come along with doing the call, that greater call. So I did want to ask you about that. So you were doing the 6 figures, okay? And you were, in that, which I also think is interesting, that in this passing society, I say passing, that our ability to show love was equated through something that had to be quantified in numerics, which is entirely not aligned with the female or the divine goddess at all, because you cannot quantify something that feeds you and holds you and births you and not coming out in dollar signs. And that's not necessarily the birthing of another human. When we talk about the creative power that comes forth in whichever way she wants to be expressed, it's not coming out in dollar signs. It's something invaluable, priceless. It fills you with life. And that feeling of life is not quantifiable. But what were your signs? Your signs. Sorry. And then I went off on a tangent. But what were your signs when you were sitting there and you're like, I don't think I can do this anymore? What was that call or those little flags saying, follow me this way, or the crumb trail?
It's so funny. I have like 45 different things I want to say to like everything you just said. But I'll stay on topic. I'll go with that one. The crumb trails that told me I was in the wrong place.
You needed to go to this one where you're just going out on a limb and you're like, you know what? Actually, I want to create safe space for others. What was that bridge?
Okay.
How did you come to that?
Because I think and I feel like all light beings and light souls, they always have this kind of, I just want to help. And I've had that since I was a kid. That was always my guiding light towards my career. I'm like, I just want to help people. I don't know how, I don't know why. I know I'm meant for something big and I just want to help people. And so I feel like all my careers have kind of been chosen that way. And going into medical sales, it was like, great, I'm going to be able to help people. And then also going back to what you were saying about our society and how it's created, we're brainwashed to believe like monetary value is the only value. So I think that was one of my biggest goals, where I'm like, well, they say if you climb the corporate ladder and you hit the 6 figures, you're going to be happy, you're going to achieve it all. And so those were my aims. I'm going to help people. I'm going to make a ton of money. There we go. And so I think the biggest realization came when I climbed, I grew, and then I hit this elusive 6 figures. And I was like, wait, how come I'm so miserable? Like, it got to the point where every morning I would get up and then I would sit on the edge of my bed and I would create reasons and excuses of like, what can I tell them for me not to go into work today? Like, there's literally no point of me. Like, there's no, I physically can't drag myself there. I can't. And that was one of, I think, the biggest things. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and even it's funny because I've realized my life cycles in these kind of career journeys, it's usually about 2 years where you kind of take a look in your around environment and you're like, I don't think I want to be like these people. And you always it always causes you to like jump into something new, something scary. Let's take a risk. Let's do it. And in these moments, my body, yes, not only does it have a physical reaction, it also, it starts to look, I don't want to say bad, but it's almost like all the light drains from you. I don't know if you've had that where it's like, I get physically very large, but like now I'm pretty curvy, but I find the weight sits in a more natural,
you're really hard on yourself,
healthy way versus
is that,
when I'm...
where does that come from?
Oh yeah, I know.
Is it, I mean, and it's not to say anything bad about anyone else in our life, but is it like family?
Know.
Is it culture?
No,
I understand some of these things, so that's why I'm asking, where do you think it comes from?
Oh my God, I've done too much work in this area, truthfully. I've delved so deep into this for so long. And I actually, truthfully, I think being hard on myself is like one of my best superpowers, only because I feel like it helps me connect with others in such a deep and vulnerable way. I have no shame about how hard I am on myself, because sometimes I like to even voice it out so other people can hear it, so that they can see that it's really fucked up how we talk to ourselves. It's so mean. It's terrible. We would never speak to a loved one that way. We would never, but we do it to ourselves all the time. And I love bringing awareness to it. But yeah, where it stems from.
What are one of the practices you would suggest? So we realize we're not being kind to ourselves. We realize we're punishing on the regular. What is one thing we could do to stop that, or to not necessarily stop it, but to embrace it and give it some space there?
Give it some space.
That was better terminology.
Yeah. I actually created a fun little system that works really well for me, where I've named these voices. So in Chinese, I call my mean voice Mei Po, and so in Chinese, I'm pretty sure it means like bitch, like mean bitch. Like,
how do I say that? Mei Po.
So whenever I have this like
May?
Yeah, like May, like May, like the month of May.
Mei Po.
And then Po, Mei Po.
Mei Po, bitch. Got it.
Mei Po, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's like the mean bitchy auntie that like just says mean things to you all the time. So I found that when I could identify the voice and then separate it from my own voice, it just became really helpful, because instead of me being hard on myself, it would need me being like, listen, Maple, shut the fuck up. I don't need your input right now. Okay. And then not only that, I actually created a opposing force. So I was like, okay, if Maypaw had like a villain, a hero that could like battle her, what would I name her? And my best friends and I, we came up with Cherry Chan.
I love
She's
this.
the other auntie who would say like the nicest, most encouraging and loving things. So every time I'm being hard on myself, I'm like, okay, Maypaw, I hear you. But then it's, what would Cherry Chan say? And Cherry Chan would say something like, you're beautiful exactly the way you are. Your shape doesn't define you.
What does Cherry Chan look like?
All that good stuff. I have no idea. They both, actually, that's not true. I would say like whatever happy, cute cartoon Asian ant would be her. And then Maypaw is like this really like aggressive, like she's holding a rolling pin, like one of those. I think those are their.
That's awesome. And actually, to be super honest, I have a system like that as well. So I consider it my venom streak. Like, I have a couple serpine, elements that come with me, and I consider it I can feel it rising up. I'm like, that's my venom streak.
Okay. That's about it. Like, that's the mean part. That's the mean part. Okay. And then do you have like another botanist thing to kind of address it? Like, I think I put it power. Or like,
I put it more that I do, but I think I made it more about like, I tell my Venom to sit the F down. Like, you need to sit down. I have this boat.
Yeah.
You're not a co-pilot. I am the captain. I've been really working on being the captain of my vessel. So I've been telling,
and it's crazy how hard that is, right? You're like, just drive your own, you're like, no.
So when we talk about the unseen or energy or spirit, I mean, there's a huge community around it. Some people have some very particular views on those types of, on that type of, I almost call it the ether, like it's, and I see things living in the ether. But at this point, to be super honest, I'm still kind of taking off those layers. Is it electricity? Is it energy? Are there other seen and unseen? What do you feel? When you're saying spiritual or spirit or energy, what does that mean to you?
What does that mean to me? I find spirit to me is a sense of oneness where we're all connected. I do believe in a higher power, whether it be like God, space, universe, I don't know, call it whatever you want. I just feel like there's been so many situations in my life where I call them hands and knees moments, where you're in such a fucked up situation and you really feel like you don't have like an ounce of strength to get through what you're going through, where you're almost forced to surrender, to believe in something bigger than yourself, because if you can't, you won't make it through. And I feel like developing this relationship, particularly over the last 5 years with the universe, spirit, it's really shown me what unconditional love can be. Because, in our traditional relationships, there's all conditions. We're always like, we love each other. It's, even with our family, particularly. I could talk about those all day, but everyone loves us, but there's conditions. They love us as long as we behave in the way that they want us to behave, but it's not unconditional. The minute we don't act the way they expect us to, the love might go away. And I found with the universe, no matter how many times I fucked up, or I did things I knew I shouldn't do, or I felt like I made the wrong choices, there was always someone I could turn to. And then even more now, it's developed, and more of what I want to teach people is it's kind of all within us, that we're all empowered to create these changes with our intentions and our energy.
I've had, I really hear what you're saying. And even though I'm still in a place of contemplation, postulation, I've had way too many moments where I've been brought to my knees. And if it's something that someone hasn't felt, then it is difficult to perhaps communicate it. But there is something within your body talisman that engages and connects to that unseen force around us. And even though I'm still in a space of venturing into working with that and defining it, it was a very strong presence for me because I had no other choice. And I almost was put in a space where I had to create that connection. I had to develop it. I had to learn to start working with it, or I wouldn't have made it. And I do feel that's one of my human experiences to be here is to get into a closer relationship with that. As of yet, though, the relationship, I'm still, I still ponder. I'm still lifting off those layers of that mystery.
I think that's kind of the best part in what you had, going back to the very beginning where you're talking about going in these journeys and then working towards this finished product. One thing I learned, and I think it very early in my spiritual journey, I was like, I want to be what's it called? Enlightened. That's the goal, right? We want to be enlightened. I want to be at peace all the time. I just want to be, because there's also, I think, this lie that we're fed in spirituality where it's like, oh, if you buy this course or you do these meditations or whatever, it means that you're going to be spiritually enlightened and then your life is beautiful forever. but it's not. I think the more you go into the journey, the more you uncover these layers, the more you realize like that the accomplishment is actually the unfolding of the layers. It's almost like the becoming that is kind of the achievement, if that makes sense. The becoming and the discovery of self.
It's the journey. And the more, it's the way I look at it is I really want to hear what other people say. I really want to try other narratives on. Ultimately, in the end, as someone who's an equestrian rider or a snowboarder, the way I kind of look at life is, if I push this, what happens? If I lean this way, what's going to happen? If I pull the rein like this and think this and see this, what's the consequence or what's the outcome? And that's how I'm going through this this type of journey, because I don't want someone else to tell me. And I feel like we've really been told, especially, I am going to go there in terms of divine feminine. You have the male counterparts on both sides, whether they're goddess oriented or whether they're all father oriented. The point is, they're consistently telling the divine feminine how and what to feel and how that shows up, and how like the birthing process and our children and all this bullshit. I'm like, you don't flipping know. You haven't created life. And it's not going back to having to have the physical procreation. There is a life force in us that we are divinely connected to. And having someone on the outside of that tell me how that force is and what it looks like and how I should behave in it. I take truths, but at the same time, I'm like, no, thank you. I will figure this out for myself, because apparently I'm the one who can go into the no thing and bring a thing out of it. So not that men can't do that. It's just, we're coming out of this time. I'm just being told. This is what you wear. This is what you look like. This is da-da-da-da. This is how spirit shows up. This is what spirit. This is your, and this is your purpose. It's really irritating to me. I'm like, I don't want to be told anymore about what you think about the divine creation. When, sorry, it's coming out of me. Yeah.
Well, and I find that was so intentional. When I look at even like there's been so many, I think, races of people that have been suppressed and cruelly suppressed, I'd say. But I always think of like Native Americans. They always come to mind. And I'm like, if you want to completely annihilate a race and take away all their power and knowledge and wisdom, the best way to do it was exactly what was done to them, take away all their children, and then get rid of the women, and then just leave the men to themselves. And because the women, they are the life
they were
force,
the carrier of the story, in a lot, cross-culturally, and until we went into that subjugation of the feminine. And an interesting story, and this is just from what was told to me, is that for me, I see that appropriation of the earth teachings and learning from Mother Earth happening for very, very long a time and across race and culture. And an interesting story coming from up north is that they said the white man lost their pipe. And because the white man lost their pipe, that's why we travel so much to try to regain that. And potentially we go into other races to try to get that connection, because we lost our pipe. And it's very interesting to go back.
Wait, sorry, really quick. What's like the pipe is metaphorical for like our essence, our soul?
You can have pipe carriers, right? And many cultures have pipes. So a medicine pipe, a means to connect with spirit. And so it's a very important ceremonial item in that particular culture. But I was told that every race had its own pipe. And what happened was the white race lost their pipe. And when you lose your pipe, which also I would suggest through different types of readings I'm doing, it would be our origin story. Because we lost our origin story, you essentially lose that connection to your spirit, your life essence, your life energy. And what happens, I've noticed with humans, is when we lose our life energy or our power, often in relationships, we will seek to get that back from others. I feel in this society, we're moving out of a very vampiric society, energy-wise, where we're like, we have to go outside ourselves to get our power, that someone outside of ourselves had power and did all these things and took it from us. And now we have to reach up to get that power. And it's created a very toxic, unhealthy means of us associating with each other. Because if we don't feel we have our own power source and we're consistently reaching to others to get our power back, then we're not only hurting others, we're hurting ourselves. So I kind of think we're in an interesting time period where this is not said by anyone. So this is not a truth. This is just a postulation. I feel potentially so the other aspect is when the white race lost its pipe, it unbalances the medicine wheel. It unbalances the races. So I personally feel that by understanding that potentially that white race is regaining that spirit, that origin story that was cut off by essentially removing the goddess from the origin stories, that will create more balance and foundation again by reclaiming that origin story, which will also create healing throughout all of the races on the planet, because we will get our pipe back. So, and that's not like, there could be people that listen to this who are like, oh my God, did she actually say that? But I'm actually going to say it because that's what's coming out of my life experience up till now, and all of the absolutely interesting and crazy and paranormal and, the elders globally that have taken me in and wanted to show me how they connect. And that is such a huge blessing and honor for me, but it helped me to get to the point where I'm like, what is my origin story? Where do I come from?
Right.
And so that's, I think I do believe we're on a healing path. But no, you go.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. You go ahead. I think we talked about that just really briefly on one of our last chats, where I believe, I hope astrologers out there will correct me, but over the last 90 years, we were in fully masculine energy. That's why, we had capitalism, we had industrial age, we had tech bros, and it was all very like power driven, everything by force. And I think around September time, we actually just shifted into the next 90-year phase where it's all feminine energy now. So instead of this competition of, your power, my power's outside, I have to get it back from somebody else, it's actually let's bring everybody together. Let's bring community back together. Let's uplift each other, and gain our power by being together. And then attraction versus forcing. And just like you were saying to me before, I feel like something really exciting is starting to stir as our world is beginning to crumble and these old systems are starting to fall away. This really quiet but potent movement is coming forward where people who have previously felt like they can't speak are like, you know what, fuck it, I have to speak. I'm compelled to speak. There's something in me that needs to come out and I don't feel ready. I feel like, my face or whatever, it's not perfect. It's not how I want it to be, but it doesn't matter. My message isn't exactly how I want it to be, but whatever it is that wants to come out, it has to come out right now. And that movement is happening and I'm seeing it. And I'm feeling it. And I'm
I just have to say how incredibly interesting the plants are that come into our conversations as guests as well, and how it holds space for a particular theme. Because when we look at the nettle, the two houses of fire, burning fire, it needs the male and the female, and it creates this incredible fire, right? For boundaries and strength and protection and courage. So my hope is that by that divine feminine reigniting her fire and us claiming it back within, it makes our counterparts so much stronger. And like for me and my experience, and that's like, it's not to keep going back to my experience about having kids, but they have been my teachers. So that's been my human experience this particular time.
Of course.
And I realized if I am not a strong, whole, human and feminine archetype, I can't grow strong men. So that is what I realized at a very early age.
Yeah.
And that's why I made a lot of hard choices, because I wanted to make warriors, essentially. I wanted to make men who are very strong in themselves. And what I notice with my boys is that they do have a very sensitive side where they can be incredibly empathetic. But it makes them, in turn, they are actually very strong as well in terms of their boundaries and standing up for others.
I think you've touched on something so important that I think this is where we're moving into, where previously in this really like toxic masculinity society that we had before, our men were taught, our men are taught, right. Like our men are taught that, strength is in having no feelings and having no emotions. And even like the way women have evolved, for the longest time, we were taught our only role was to like procreate, to marry, to be beautiful. And then in the last 50, 70 years, we were like, no, we're just going to provide for ourselves so we can take our power back in that way. But then men right now are kind of like, wait, so if you're providing for yourself, then what's my role? And I love to tell men all the time, I'm like, we still need you. We need your strength and security, but not in the ways that they've been taught, but exactly in the ways that you've been teaching your boys, where the strength is in the empathy, in the compassion, in being a companion, being trustworthy.
Well, I was reading something, and one, there's also, I can't go forward without saying some of that movement to remove woman from house. And this is not, I am very independent, been making my own way, have my own bike. I can use a drill and whatever. Okay. But the point is by removing a parent, by removing one parent from the household, that there is nobody home, it left the state to raise our children. And it took the power away from, that was intentional.
And that was intentional.
So it took the power away from the family. So we do have some, figuring out reshifting, how are we there as a family unit, that we are a strong community, that again, we have not just two parents even raising our children. How do we have these family units again coming back together in tribal units? Because it doesn't matter, across Europe, we were tribal units. We weren't these nuclear households thinking that two parents alone are going to raise these incredibly healthy, solid, strong children that are fully nourished, educated, and whatnot. And we can realize we have to take power back now over education, health, everything. So there's definitely some restructuring going on there. But what I wanted to say was, it was a very beautiful kind of this little storytelling tale. And it was about how the masculine role was to really create that safe space for that divine feminine to come into, because once she comes into a place of safety and feels secure, that's when that fire can start to really ignite and grow. And I really see it like creating that fire under the tree, right? You're creating that safe space for that fire, that little flame to start, and then it just right? And together they're able to create this incredible reality.
And I totally agree. I think that's what is so amazing about uplifting women in general. It's like when you uplift a woman, not only do they help themselves, but they literally
That's
uplift
why
everyone
the woman
around
had to be
themselves
taken
too.
out of the story, because if you have a strong divine feminine on the planet, you know, which is our divine feminine mother, and you take her out of the story, what happens to the community? It becomes weak. Disjointed, it loses its medicine. I would suggest for, you know, when we're talking in origin stories, I would suggest we lost our pipe. You know, we lose our items because we have lost our connection to the source that is in this particular space right now, right? We are working within her space. But moving forward, because I do want to get some of your skill and your expertise in here, when you are making the hard choices and doing the work, and we move into that sacrifice and discomfort, what are 2 or 3 tips you could offer others to keep up morale and moving forward?
I've created like a list. I have 4.
Perfect.
I think 4 tips and tricks. I'll kind of go through them
and 4,
quickly.
Do you understand how perfect that is? We just brought up the 4 corners and the medicine wheel and all this stuff. And you brought up 4.
Oh.
The 4 pillars.
Fun. Like, okay. I love that.
Okay. Move forward.
So the first one is just giving yourself some space to feel the emotion, which I know sounds a little bit corny off the bat, but I find, again, coming back to what we're always, I guess, brainwashed to believe that happiness is supposed to be like the only emotion that we're supposed to feel. And then the minute we're like sad, mad, frustrated, we're supposed to just not feel them. And then we feel guilt or shame for feeling them, which is insane. So just giving, and then it's so interesting for me as an energy healer, how I see that come out in people's bodies. Because when you suppress those emotions and be like, oh, that's ugly, I don't want to feel that, I'm just going to push it down. It starts to accumulate in different areas of your body. And every time I work on people, without a doubt, it's always in the heart. Usually in the lower region.
Our hearts have been very attacked
chakra, usually like
in
when
this
we're younger.
last few thousand years. The heart, and that is the gateway. Yes,
on purpose. Yeah. So yeah, I give myself space to honor the emotion and be like, yeah, I'm really fucking frustrated right now. I'm very angry, and I'll give myself time. You know, if I want to be sad, I want to lay on my couch all day, I'll just do it because I need the space to do it. So I think giving yourself space to do it first is good. And also, but catch yourself. I feel like if you've been doing it for like months and months on end, there's something that needs to shift, but give yourself a couple days to mourn, experience the things. And then I like to just zoom out. I think sometimes, especially when you're running a business, it's so easy to get caught up in just the day-to-day stuff, and measure yourself against kind of the short-term goals. And if you're not hitting them, then you already think none of it matters. But zooming out for me has been so beneficial because you start to take inventory, I think, over time. And then you start to, that practice too gives yourself a chance to reflect on what's true and what's not. And then you can almost create like a list of here's all the things that I have accomplished, and that almost reframes your mind to begin to give yourself more credit in the present tense. The other one, this was a big one for me, and I think I still learn it all the time. Is just redefining what success means to me. And I feel like for so long, and still often, like money is the only thing that I use as like the marker where I'm like, successful? Yes, no. Money? Yes, no. And I love, do you know the author Robin Sharma? He's awesome. He wrote a story about, it's called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And it was this hotshot corporate lawyer who basically had a heart attack in the middle of the courtroom and then went to the Himalayan mountains and found these monks. And he ended up living with them and then just gaining their wisdom. And then he came back and shared it with the world. and Robin Sharma was who he shared it with. So Robin wrote the book and shared it with the world. And so he basically says there's 8 pillars of wealth, or how to measure wealth. And when he brought them up, I'll read them out because I love them. So his number one is actually your growth is your most wealth, how much you grow. It's a currency that no one can take away from you. It's permanent. No matter where you are, it's always going to be with you. His second one was your health. And I'm sure you've been through it where there's a good quote where they say, a healthy man has many goals, but a sick one only has one. And I think we all take that for granted when we're pursuing the things that we're pursuing. Your health is everything. There's people who are billionaires who they can't move their body. I have uncles who they're all millionaires. They've been in construction their whole life and they have all this money, but they can't move because their back or knee is busted. So health is number 2. Relationships is your number 3 wealth. I can't count. This is actually my number 4 pillar. I'll jump back and forth a little bit, but my number 4 pillar is connecting with a loved one. The people that love me, there's no way I could be who I am and where I am without them. There's been so many moments where I think your loved ones, they always see the light in you when you cannot see it in yourself. So many times in my life when this journey's gotten really hard that I just go back to my loved ones, because your loved ones will always see you in your brightest light, especially when you can't see it in yourself. And it's so nice to be able to return to that place. And I was saying that every time I'm taking count of like stock of what's really good in my life, I'm just so grateful for the people who love me because they're everything. They're everything. I would put them much higher on the rank of wealth, I'd say. Number 5 is your craft.
I just want to say thank you so much for being so honest and like open. Well, that's that emotion though that people can connect with, and that can help them shift what they need to inside, right? So you just really do that very, very honestly and sincerely. So that's beautiful, and thank you.
Thank you. That's so. Can I actually tell you a really cool story about that? When I was younger, I used to cry all the time. Like if I was happy, I was cried. If I was mad, I was cried. And then growing up in an Asian household, crying is a sign of weakness. So for so long, I had so much shame about the fact that I cried all the time. I was so sensitive. And I didn't know at the time being sensitive meant that I was just really empathetic, that I could feel other people's emotions, that would make me a better human. And it wasn't until I became older and I grew in myself that I'm like, no, this is a superpower. And I even had this amazing, like, it's not a like told you so moment, but it was a moment where I got to stand in my power for the very first time. It was a really good, so small, like the moment itself was so small, but it felt really big. And so my mom, I love her. She's like one of the best people in the world, but she's also very traditional in some senses. And she was one of the ones who's always like, why are you always crying? Stop crying. And one day, I was meeting her at her workplace so we can go home together. And there was a movie on in her salon. And I don't know what country, I think it was set in Haiti. And the movie was basically showing a war-torn country, a soldier was coming to kill a mom and a kid. I don't watch stuff like this. And so I'm just sitting here watching this, just so don't like this. And then right? And so then it's awful. No. So we get in the car and I start bawling my eyes out. And she's like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, did you not see what was playing on the theater, on the show? And she's like, it's just a movie. I'm like, no, Mom, this is happening in the world right now. And there's nothing where we can do about it right now. It's just happening. Children are being killed. And I just start to cry and cry. And she was like, you're so sensitive. Don't be like this. It's just a movie. And it's just the first time I was like, you know what, Mom? No, I'm not sensitive. Actually, no, I am sensitive. But it's because I have compassion and empathy for what's happening. My heart hurts because this is awful. And yeah, it doesn't affect me directly, but I think it's good that you raise somebody who can see the the pain in this? And then not let it, it's not going to jade me. It's not going to make me feel like the world's a horrible place. But I'm going to use it to empower me to go want to do something better in the world.
I think that's a really important, so yes, that was a power moment, but I think that was a really great statement for others to take home is that it doesn't, you didn't use it to disempower you or go into the space of the world's a horrible place, blah, 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 blah. You're thinking, how can I use this information and just become a better human and do a greater part so that my humanness is going to create something positive to potentially counteract that type of reality.
Yeah. And so now it's so exciting because ever since I had that shift, people, funnily enough, I don't know if it happens to you, but people cry at my table all the time. It's just like an energetic, they come, they heal, they do their thing. And
that's why I know we're not just our products. We're not just our products. Whatever we're doing, we're like, come into Kensington Market, but in reality, it's like what do I want to say? Not disingenuous, but there is something that is happening within that exchange that is not just about the products. There is so many people that have come, men and women and young people, and I don't know what happens, but there is something that happens, that energetic exchange, that people that they cry, that they talk about what they haven't finished in life, the things that they felt regretful for, that and it's so everyone in that type of experience is going to be different for each of us. But I do know there is something deeper happening within our service, essentially, to humans, whether we're doing beauty products or crystals or, plants. The point is there's something else happening there. And I think that's what we're starting to remember.
I always say that the connection is actually what people are coming for. And then the crystals and the beauty product, there's just a souvenir that they get to take away from them. And there's something, oh my God, I have to say this so I don't forget. But one of the things when I was reflecting on meeting you and how grateful I was, I think, and going back to obviously what we were saying earlier about, sometimes feeling like small in the markets or things like that, it is such an honor and a privilege to be able to be in service to others in a way that lights up our hearts.
That's what I'm talking about.
Who gets to do that for a living?
Like, I go to the market and I hug people and I give them something that I made and they pay me for it. I'm like, this is amazing. I have been like that for the last since 2007. Right? I'm like, is this a real thing? I'm like, and I get to make my own schedule. I'm like, this is the bomb. I mean, there's obviously there's the other stuff that goes with it, but there's that point of it. What you just said is something I have gratitude at least a few times during my day. Whenever I'm out, even if I'm tired and get there, there always comes that point where I'm like, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm here. And so I know even if the path leads out of that, we are on our path.
Yep.
And so you have a few more. You have a few more pillars to wealth. Thank you. Thank you for going back to that. I was like, number 5 was money. He's like, you need money. If you don't have it, then you can't do stuff. So money is, it's number 5 though. So it's on the list, but it's lower on the list. Community, I think should be higher on the list. I think I'm sure you feel the same way, having your own community. It's so crazy how quiet but powerful it is. I think for the whole time, these last 4 years, I've been like, I just want to create a community. I just want to create a community. And I've never created one, so I don't know what that looks like. But then I think I almost, again, it's the reframing, because I'm like, I have all these cool customers and friends who come visit me all the time. And I didn't know that meant that's your community. They're rooting for you. They're cheering for you. They love your message. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess that means we're a community. And the last 2 is adventure and I put service. Adventure up way too high. Like it's way too high of a pillar in mine. I'm always thinking about the next adventure. But those are
You know what? But that's probably why you look so young.
Well,
Just saying.
thank you, Megan. But I do
Yeah.
feel keeping that life essence inside, that feeling of newness and novel terrain and waking up and thinking, oh, I wonder what's going to happen today. I do think that does keep ourselves youthful. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually realized the other day I was having this like melancholy moment where I'm like, what does my life mean? Like, why am I even here? What is the meaning of life? And I kept just like being depressed about like my life has no meaning. It's just one of these moments. And I had this kind of revelation that I'm like, you have to work at creating meaning, if that makes sense. Like if you just lay on the couch every day and you don't do anything.
Makers.
No meaning.
We are meaning makers.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
okay. We can be creative, you know, and yes, having appropriate knowledge and all that stuff is super important, but humans are meaning makers, and that's why it makes them so magic, right?
Meaning makers.
And also, I think
that. Meaning makers.
I think going back to connection. So there was a time in my life where, I mean, I was thinking, I thought I came here to do this thing, and now like, what the flip am I doing? And now I'm, you know, and I was going through that, but then there was this moment I realized, I think my major lesson or life lesson was to learn how to create connection, how to understand how important connection is. And when you think about how many people that may have come by our table and into our space over the span of time that we were like, you're okay, you got this. Like, I see you. I see you. When you're able to see someone is with you and you're able to say, I see you, that changes everything. And if we've done that for even 3-4 people, you've already created so much positive, incredible change in this reality just by those few connections. And for us, those connections, if we really think about it, are quite big. We've had a lot of those connections. And so for me, I do have moments where I'm thinking it should look like this. I should have done this. This should be and then I go back to, I made that one person feel like they were seen, and they wrote me a year later and said, thank you so much for talking to me because I finally did A, B, and C. If you do that for one person, your life is so like, we did something, or I feel I did something I came here to do. So that's what I remind myself in terms of that success level. But finishing up, if we had one last tip for you in terms of how to stay aligned on our path when we're feeling some discomfort and the potential heaviness of the sacrifice, what is that? Okay.
I have two. One, I got this advice from a monk a really, really long time ago, almost like 15 years ago, and I never understood it. Be yourself. So annoying. Just be yourself. It's so annoying because you're like, what do you mean just be yourself? But the more I grow, I'm like, no, that is actually your power. If you give yourself permission to be exactly as you are, who you are, it's one of the most amazing things you can do. And that's
super rich, because just getting to the point of self. What is the self? What is myself? What did myself come here to do? That's a very, it seems like a simplistic statement, but it's actually
so simple. 3 words.
Super rich and super powerful. So your fourth.
My fourth is just, there's a saying where it's like, you need to, a lot of people are like, oh, I need to believe it in order to see it. But it's supposed to be the other way around, where you need, just see it to believe it. Yeah. You need to see it to believe it, but it's supposed to be, you need to believe it to see it. And I find a lot of people right now, it's really easy to get caught up in where you are. And I find it's so easy to allow your current identity and your current situation to determine where you're going and who you're going to be. But I think people forget. And I think in our work, it's the most powerful thing. We remind people that no, at any time you can choose to do things differently, be different. And you can truly have whatever you desire. and take you and I as an example. 5 years ago, 20 years ago, we started out being like, I want to create a heart-led business. I want to help people. I want to change the world. If you told me 5 years ago I was going to sell crystals and be an energy healer, I would laugh at you. I'd be like, there's no fucking way. I'm like, that's not real. But now every day I sit here and I'm like, I can't believe this is what I do. This is who I am.
It's so
insane.
beautiful. And so we'll probably wrap up here. But if there was one last sentiment or idea that you would like to leave a community with, what comes to mind?
Oh crap. I think those two are the ones, but yeah, no, I'm gonna stick with just be yourself. Just be with you. Be yourself. Yeah, because it's the most beautiful blessing you can give the world. If you give yourself permission to love yourself, like you really mean it. And give yourself permission to heal and let go of the things that don't serve you. Yeah.
That's so great. Megan, thank you so much for talking with me. And for anyone who wants to contact you or if you have a specific link you want people to reach out to, I'll put it into the episode summary notes. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for dropping by Stories Not to Take to the Grave. I hope you feel inspired to take more time to listen to your own internal wisdom and to find the courage to share your story. If you like this content, please share, subscribe, and I would be ever so grateful if you took the time to leave a review. Until next time, keep on digging.